And welcome back. Happy Sunday. It's another Pokemon team video. This one comes to us from Eric. I'm almost through these guys, by the way. Eric gave me a couple suggestions where basically we're talking about number 4 from the KND Kids Next Door. I've gone through 1 through 4 now. I've only got number 5 left. And then he's got other suggestions too I can do. But yeah, number 4. Obviously, number 4, Wallaby. Oh, crap. It's Wally. I know his full name is actually Wallaby. I'm trying to remember what his last name is, and I can't remember it, and it's bugging me. Hold on. Beatles. It was that Wallaby Beatles, or Wally Beatles. He is the hand-to-hand expert of the sector. Was it Sector 5? Yeah, they're Sector 5. Australian kid, very brash, very hot-headed, but he's a good-natured kid. I'm just going to angle that there. There you go, centered. And yeah, I mean, he's arguably one of my favorite characters on the series, just because he's the brash, obnoxious one. Number 1 and number 4 were probably the 2 favorite of the original 5 KND we get introduced to. Then I probably would go number 5, then number 2, and then number 3. Number 3 was just kind of like, whatever. But yeah, as the hand-to-hand expert, you could expect a lot of fighting types on this team, but I did figure out a way to do more for this team than you might expect. First and foremost, let's just get started here. The first mon that made it onto the team, weirdly enough, was Scrafty. This one just kind of worked for me, due to the fact that while Wallaby's not truly a punk, him and number 5 are probably the most street smart of them, and he does come off as a ruffian, as a hooligan, if you will. And Scrappy's basically just supposed to be a takeoff of a thug, like a standard, not Yakuza, but, Asian thug on the streets, pulling your pants up, you got the mohawk and everything like that. And it's a dark fighting type, so it represents kind of like the bad attitude a little bit as well. So ultimately, yeah, I would say this would be a solid representation. Plus, we do get that line of dialogue from him in the episode where there was the old man Wally who was trying to save the day and stop the future from happening. And he says, I don't get that mohawk in, what was it, 8th grade or whatever. It took me forever to grow my hair back. So there was that, definitely. There's also, one of the things, though, that does work to Wally's personality, though, is the fact that he is a fan of sports. And luckily, while there aren't a lot of them, there are a couple mon that do lend themselves to sports. And one of them being Passimian. Passimian is obviously a fighting type, so it works well with the whole hand-to-hand combat expert part of Wally's, persona. But also the fact that it's clearly a football player of some kind. It's a ball player of some kind. I don't think they ever really specify what type of sport Passimian is supposed to be playing. Football, rugby, something like that, most likely. He wears a melon helmet, and he carries a melon around with him. I always liked Passimian. I got Moon, so I got Orang Guru, but I like Passimian. It's actually a pretty fun little mon. And it works great in terms of the sports motif. Another Pokemon that works well with the sports motif is one of the only non-fire types, fighting types on the team. Freudian slip there. Cinderace. This one, and this is because it's a footballer. It's a soccer player. This also works well because he has a fiery temper. Personality. He shouldn't. He isn't always the most level-headed of individuals, so it makes sense that he could have a Pokemon on his team that has a bit of a fiery aspect to it, if not a bad temper. I mean, I could have easily gotten like a Hydreigon on his team or something like that, but I was not going to do that. A lot of his team is not fully evolved. Actually, that's not true. Most of his team is fully evolved. A couple are not, or they don't evolve. That leads us actually to another Pokemon that kind of represents his actual temper. Now, this one definitely represents his attitude, his bullheadedness, if you will. And that is Primeape. Fighting type, lends itself well to the hand-to-hand combat expertise he has. However, at the same time, he is still a Pokemon that is not the most calm or rational of individuals or Pokemon. So yeah, So yeah, I thought Primate worked pretty well. The Primates can obviously settle down and be level-headed when they need to be, but they are not the they are not usually the most rational of Mons. Now the last two here, one of the things that does stand out about number 4 is the fact that among the Sector 5 operatives, uh, he's not the brightest bulb. In fact, he's probably the least intelligent of the Sector 5 operatives, definitely. So I needed a Pokemon that really wasn't that intelligent. And unfortunately, the problem here is that when it comes to the intelligence of Pokemon, especially because we have both the games and the anime to go off of, it's not easy to find a Pokemon that's actually literally depicted as being very low intelligence. Most Psychic types are very intelligent because of their abilities. Some are extremely intelligent. But there aren't a lot of straight on dumb Mon, though. Now you might be saying, well, what about Slowpoke? Slowpoke is portrayed, even its name is portrayed as dumb, but it's not the fact that it's necessarily dumb. It's the fact that it's just slow. It's being slow doesn't mean you're dumb. And Wally's not even slow. He's just not very bright. There is a difference between the two. Being slow means it is like your processing speed. Intelligent means you just can't process it to begin with, or it just goes over your head. A perfect example would be, hey, okay, so, yeah, if Johnny Johnny has 2 apples, Cindy has 5 apples, they go together and eat half the apples together, have half the apples to make a pie. How many apples are left? It's like probably the most basic thing you can do. Slow would basically be taking your time to figure it out and maybe not quite getting it at first, but eventually getting it. Not getting it would be 7, like saying that, like, not understanding the concept of like slicing an apple in half is like, just, you can't do that. It's impossible. That wouldn't be unintelligent. That would be stupid or dumb anyway. So, and when you break it down, there really aren't Pokemon that are depicted as stupid, as dumb. Not in terms of like the species itself, at any rate. So, I found an interesting little article that someone kind of wrote, kind of depicting, spelling it out a little bit. That, yeah, most Pokemon aren't the brightest. They're not necessarily stupid, but they're not geniuses at all. They can do basic problem solving for their environments, but you put them in a different environment, they may not function correctly. It's like any other animal. Most animals aren't stupid. They're just attuned to what they know. Ultimately, long story short, I decided to go with Tauros for this. The whole concept of a bull in the China shop works well. It's not necessarily a dumb Pokemon, but it is a bull. It's a Pokemon that just kind of reacts a little bit, and it's a Pokemon that would fit well to the whole kind of bull-headed, mindset that a character like Wallaby has. So, yeah, I decided to go with a bull for Tauros for that. Last but not least, it's still probably the only Pokemon that's actually not fully evolved, and that is Kubfu. Now, Kubfu obviously is a fighting type Pokemon. It evolves a very powerful Pokemon, but I chose this one on the team as opposed to like Urshifu's or something due to the fact that it's still very much a kid. It's still clearly a kid. And it actually even has a face very similar to Wally when you really look at him. I mean, look at those faces. They could be brothers. But no, yeah, it's a face of a Mon that definitely looks like it would belong on his team. So really, that's the team for Wallaby. Wallaby Beetles. Not number 4. Not the most surprising team. Obviously, half the team is fighting types with not a lot of diversity. Although there is a little bit of diversity. You got a dark type on there, a normal type, and a fire type. So there's a little bit of diversity. But number 4 would not be a character who would go for necessarily diversity in terms of thinking about it. He would wind up with diversity happenstance, like after the fact, after he's caught the Mon on his team. So yeah, that is the Pokemon team, in my opinion, for Wallaby Beetles, aka number 4 from the KND, Kid Next Door. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Did you agree? Do you agree with this team? Do you disagree? What would you do differently if you would do something differently? Let me know in the comments below. But until then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you for the next one.